Hi there, welcome back to True Goon. And in this video here, we've got a hangout here with Steve. How you doing, Steve?
How you doing, mate? Not so bad. In a couple of weeks.
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. And in this video here, we're going to be talking about the transfer window because now we know the season's ended. So it's either someone's favourite time or someone's worst favourite time of the year when we talk about transfers. So first of all, we've actually made a signing, which is this Schalke left back called Sead Kolasinac, and we're just going to be talking a little bit about him to start with. So, Steve, what do you make of this signing? Do you think it's a good one for Arsenal?
Yeah, I mean, I've not seen him play in terms of a game, but obviously I've seen him play quite a lot on YouTube, quite a lot of videos going around of him, creating, scoring, and he looks like a typical Arsenal type attacking player that can be interested to see what he's like defending. But if we continue with our 3-5-3 sort of type formation, then I think he could fit in quite well.
Yeah, because what I've heard of him is that he's quite versatile. He can play across the back three, and he can also play at left wing back, so he's fairly flexible. So do you also think that's a good sign that he's fairly flexible?
Yeah, I mean, Wenger always likes players that can play more than one position, doesn't he? So I think anywhere on that left side, and obviously with as it's showing Monreal playing at centre back when necessary, he can sort of switch in, and it'd be interesting to see what he does with Monreal and Gibbs, whether or not one of those is going to be moved out.
Yeah, and apparently he was actually in the Germany team of the year for the Bundesliga, as was Granit Xhaka last season. So, do you also think that's a good indication of what he can possibly do at Arsenal?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously he's probably one of those players that Wenger's been looking at for quite some time, and once the contract situation was sorted out with Wenger, he could actually sort of complete the deal because it's obviously been talked about for a while. As I say, he looks like a typical type of Arsenal player. So it'd be interesting to see how he slots in, in our first few games pre-season.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you there. Yeah, I do think it's a good start. Just to let you know that, obviously, of course, we can't stop there. We have to continue on and buy some more players and strengthen the other key areas that we need strengthening. And also, viewers who are watching, if you know a lot about Sead Kolasinac, then what you make of him, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Now, also, that Sead Kolasinac coming in is going to likely mean one of our left backs of Monreal and Gibbs are going to go. And it does look most likely that Gibbs will be off. So, what do you make of that? He's linked with Newcastle and Crystal Palace. So, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a shame if he goes. But again, he's one of those players that's never really cemented his place in the Arsenal side. I mean, he had a spell, a year or so ago when he got into the England team, but he just keeps getting injured, doesn't he? He seems to always be missing 2 or 3 games. He just gets to the point where you think, yeah, and then he's out for 3 or 4 games, and then to start again. And he's been playing left back, he's been playing left wing back, he's played left mid, and I just think he's not really settled into the position. And Wenger 9 times out of 10 goes with Monreal, doesn't he? So I think with the new lad coming in, I think that really, of the 3 of them, or the 2 of them to go, I suppose Gibbs would be favourite, and probably Gibbs would get the higher price, wouldn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Talking about 15 million for Gibbs. I mean, what would you get for Monreal? What is he, 30, 31? I think personally, on current playing form, I'd probably keep Monreal and let Gibbs go.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Gibbs I actually feel quite very sorry for because I do think he's a really good player and a great squad member. But obviously, if you're not getting enough of game time, and also you have to think about World Cup next summer, who's going to probably be most wanted to be in that England team. So it does look like he is going to go, and when he does go, we wish him all well.
Yeah, he's been a loyal servant, hasn't he? He's always given his all for the club. He's never been one of those sort of players that's created a fuss, has he? Just
yeah, absolutely, of course. Totally agree with you there. Some more players that could be on their way out. The next thing is our 2 keepers of Szczesny and Ospina. Ospina looks like he's going to Fenerbahce, and Szczesny looks like he's off to Juventus. What do you make of that? Would you rather them both go, or would you rather keep one? How would you do about the keeper?
I think Ospina is definitely going to go. I think he's not going to be happy playing second fiddle again next season, because I suppose, depending unless we sign, I don't know, a Joe Hart or
Pickford,
someone like that.
I really want
Pickford would be the best one, but I mean, Pickford's not going to come in as a number one, is he? So I think that pushes Ospina further down the pecking order, and that doesn't really leave a place for Szczesny at all, does it? And you've got Martinez, I think is a very good young goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So again, if we can get 15 million for and then whatever we get for Ospina. I mean, Ospina's a good goalkeeper,
Yeah, he is.
He's got, he kept the score down against Bayern Munich, didn't he? But I mean,
and
he made a couple of crucial saves.
Saved us.
He made a couple of crucial games in the Chelsea game where it could have gone another way if Costa had got a couple more when he got his body in the way, and so it'd be a shame to see him go. But I don't think he want to stay as a number two next season. I don't think that's going to be where he wants to be at his age. If he goes for 4 or 5 million, whatever we get for him, that's sort of 20 million in the bank. 15 million for Gibbs, that's 35 million in this. That's a decent price for somebody that wages for Sanchez for a year, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, I think both Szczesny and Ospina, I think they're both too good to be number two keepers. Obviously, there's going to be lots of other clubs. There's lots of other clubs in the Premier League where they'll definitely be first choice over their keeper. So, ideally, I would like to keep at least one of them. But if they don't want to be here, then we'll have to let them go. And do you think
Szczesny's not been here for 2 years, has he?
Yeah.
Szczesny's not been here for 2 years, is he? So he's pretty much not an Arsenal player anymore, anyway, is he? Really?
Yeah. But I was hoping he will come back and hopefully learn his trade from Rome and come back and do well and give Czech a bit of a competition at Arsenal. But it doesn't look likely that he wants to do that.
Doesn't look like that's what he wants to do, does he? He doesn't want to be a number two, does he? So if he's going to be a number one at Rome or at Juventus, then fair play to him.
Yeah. So if they do both go, do you think Arsenal should buy another keeper, or would you be happy with Martinez as number two?
I think you need a goalkeeper, don't you? So if Pickford has obviously been relegated to Sunderland, you should get it. But I mean, if they're going to hold out for a silly price, I heard one of the papers quoting 30 million for him. I mean, there's no way you can pay 30 million for it. Especially he's coming in as a number two. So,
or number one, because Czech is, don't forget, Czech is knocking on, so he's not going to be there for not much longer.
No, he's not, and I don't think he's not showing signs of he's ready to hang his gloves up yet, though, is he? So what you want is somebody that can come in that can challenge him. But initially, he's going to come in as a number two, isn't
he? Yeah, definitely. But what I really actually want is, if Pickford does come in, which I hope does happen, I think he can learn a lot more of Petr Cech, and don't forget he's still very young, so he's going to have more time to actually develop. While Cech has only got like two more years in him, so eventually.
Well, Cech isn't going to get any better, is he? He's only going to. Yeah, I mean, Czech's not going to get any better, is he? So he's only going to go on that slight downward. He's, you could still think like a top goalkeeper. You can't quite move, can you? So I think having a young goalkeeper coming in, and it'll improve Martinez as well, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll see a challenge, and he's not done anything majorly wrong when he's played for us. I mean, he played for us for a few games when we were going through that awful spell, wasn't he? So
yeah,
I think Pickford would be a good shout.
Yeah, and Martinez's attitude I like, because he kept saying he won't stop at Arsenal until he's number one, which is the right attitude.
Absolutely.
He's actually 22 years old. He's actually not that young.
So he's coming into that 25, 26 prime, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I mean, another season, but with us, understudy, you'll be ready for, the season after next.
Yeah, definitely. Right, some more players that look like they're going to be heading their way out. We're going to talk about our other two right backs. So that's Matt Debuchy and Carl Jenkinson. Obviously, it does look like they're both going to be on their way out. So, what do you make of that? Do you think we should keep at least one, or do you think they both have to go?
No, I think they should have both been gone last season. You know, Debuchy especially. I don't know what happened with Debuchy. Obviously, he couldn't get a club, and he stayed. Didn't get a game, got a game, got injured, and then was out of the side, wasn't he? So I think for me, Debuchy and Jenkinson are definite out the door, I'm afraid. And again, especially if we're going to play with the Ox on the right hand side, you know, he's learning defensive duties. So I think him and Bellerin on that right hand side wing back, ideal.
Yeah, definitely. Of
You
course,
know,
Jenkinson again, another one who I feel quite sorry for because his loan spells at West Ham were very well, and we were actually thinking there's potential there. But when he came in a few times and Bellerin was injured last season, he just didn't look right, and they were like, no, I'm afraid he's not good enough, so he'll need to be moved on. And there's
no,
also
no,
Callum. Oh, sorry. And
got no current.
there's also Callum Chambers coming back. Do you actually think he's more suited to the middle, or do you reckon he can also do a job at right back? What do you reckon?
Well, I think if we're going to continue with this three at the back, then because Gabriel played really well when he was playing that right back, I'd be quite happy with Chambers coming back in to sort of give us that fourth or fifth central defender who can also play on the right side of defence, which then obviously means Monreal can play in the middle and the right side. So then you've got ideally Mustafi holding Koscielny as your main three with Gabriel and Chambers and Monreal covering for centre backs, but can also play left back and right back. So I think that gives you a good. I'm assuming Mertesacker might hang up his boots in the summer.
Yeah, I think he's going to go.
So I don't think we need to do anything with our central defence personally, because I want to see Holding develop. I don't want us to bring in another central defender that knocks Holding outside.
Yeah. So do you not think we need another defender? Do you not think we need another?
So I think no, I don't. I'd be quite happy to go with those three if they stay fit. The three, they're really solid, and that you still have Gabriel and Chambers as backup, and Monreal. That gives you 6 potential central defenders. Really, I think that's more than enough.
Yeah.
Unless somebody outstanding came along. I mean, if somebody Hummel's suddenly become available, then you buy him, wouldn't you? But that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Do you think we should be in the mix for Van Dijk because he's into Liverpool and Manchester? Do you think Arsenal should be somewhere in the mix?
Yeah, but I mean, what's he going to cost to bring him in?
With these 50, 60 million, Southampton have really played hardball on this.
If always something like that, he'd have to play, wouldn't he? And then that would mean Holding or something like that wouldn't play. Yeah. And I really like Holding. I mean, I'm a Holding fan, so I wouldn't want to do anything that's going to knock Holding outside, personally. Yeah, but he might get injured, mightn't he? Yeah. With our track record of injuries. No, I'd stick with our central defence as it is personally. Yeah.
Right. So another player who reportedly wants out is Lucas Perez. Now, what do you make of that?
Well, he's in the same category as Campbell, isn't he? He gets inside, he plays well, and then he doesn't play. So, and where's he going to play? If we're going to play this 3 at the back, 5 in midfield, he's not going to play ahead of Sanchez and Ozil and Ox, is he? So, I'd like to keep him, but again, does he want to be a squad type player? He's not going to be a first choice player, and that's assuming we don't buy. Because it's on the cards that we're going to go and buy another striker. So that pushes him further down the order, doesn't it?
Yeah, it will do. And with Perez, obviously, when we got him, I was like, okay, not the ideal world-class striker, but I was like saying, at least give him a go. And when he's actually come in, he's actually done really well. I just don't know what's happened to him. I was like, with Wenger, I was like, why did you even sign him if you're not going to actually play him and give him competition? Do you think that's a fair point?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so when he's played, he's scored. I mean, he got that hat trick in the cup. Then he didn't play again for 3 or 4 weeks after that. And when you play up front, I think you need consecutive games to build that confidence, don't you? That touch. And if you keep coming on for 10, 15 minutes, it's never going to be the best, is it? But we've got Walcott out there, Perez, Iwobi, Welbeck. He's not going to be ahead of those, is he?
No.
I don't think so. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think again he doesn't want to. He wants to play regular, doesn't he?
Well, ideally, I'd like to keep Perez for at least another 1 or 2 more seasons, but regarding of that transfer, we'll have to watch his space. Okay, I'm going to talk about 3 more players who are likely to leave. The next we're going to come on about our 2 loanees that were on loan last season. First of them is Joel Campbell, and like you said earlier, and Jack Wilshere. So, what do you make of them? Ideally, I really hope we keep Wilshere because I don't want to see him leave just yet. So I want to actually see him get his proper chance. What do you make of them?
Yeah, I think again it's injuries, isn't it? If he can stay fit, he's good enough to play in that side, and I do want him to stay. He's a young lad. He's Arsenal through and through, and you'd hate to see him playing for a Chelsea, Man United, or Man City, wouldn't you? So I think I'd like to keep him at the club next year, see how he goes, get him as much game time as he can. Hopefully he stays fit, and then hopefully he will show his potential. It's a tough one, but at the end of the day, we can't sell 9 players, can we? We can sell 9 players, but we can't. I can't see him bringing in 9 players.
Oh no. Well, also, I think Wilshere is also a player we need to keep because don't forget Cazorla unfortunately doesn't look like he's going to be back until like October, November time. So
I hope Christmas.
Yeah, we need a replacement for him, and I do think Wilshere definitely has the capabilities of actually doing that role well. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. He's more of an attacking midfield where Ramsey and Xhaka seem to be that central defensive midfield partnership now that they've developed really well in the last few games. And then you just want somebody in that Cazorla, somebody to challenge that number 10 role, don't you?
Yeah.
That's all those all roll. So I think Wilshere, unless again he's going to go and buy somebody else, another creative midfield player, which he does like the creative midfield players, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
So for me, Wilshere to stay, but Campbell to go.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I definitely want Wilshere to stay, but Campbell, I think we have to say goodbye if he does go. And the final one, and this player is definitely on his way out, is Yaya Sanogo. I bet you're happy about that one.
I mean, we've forgotten he existed. I mean, when was the last time we haven't seen him at all last season, did we? Although he got named in their Champions League squad, he never actually appeared anywhere, did he? So
no, he didn't. Not even in the League Cups. I don't think he featured.
No, he's been injured. He's been on that. I mean, no, I can't see any value. Is he going to go on a free? Is he run down his contract?
Yeah, his contract runs out next month. So yeah, he will go on a free.
Yeah. So it just gets him off the wage bill, doesn't it? So I think that's a no-brainer, that one.
Yeah, definitely. That one does look like it's going to happen. But even if he is going, we do, of course, wish him well and hope his future runs out nicely for him.
Yeah, again, injuries had an impact on his career, didn't they?
Yeah, of course, regardless of whether we like the player or not, we have to, when they do leave, we have to wish them well. Except if it's a player that left the money, like Nasri and Van Persie and Adebayor. Them I don't wish well. Their new club.
Absolutely not.
Everyone else, I wish well. Whoever does.
Yeah, they wore the badge. They represented the club well when they did. So.
Yeah, well, at least they tried. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that on the players going out. And now we'll talk about the players possibly coming in. Of course, we signed Kolasinac today from Schalke at left back, and we've just spoken about him. And once again, viewers, leave your comments in below about him if you're happy for signing and what you think is good to Arsenal. So we'll have a look at a few rumours. The first one, well, we can only start with one, is Mbappe. Now, do you think these rumours are actually true, that we have gone in with an over €100 million bid, or do you think it's nonsense?
I've got no idea, man. I've got no idea. I mean, I was reading a few reports today, and it was up to, we're going back in with 125 million. I mean, I just don't, pounds that is. So God knows that's about 140 million euros, isn't it? I mean, it's a world record for a player. He's what, 18 and a bit. That's a lot of money to spend on a player that's had a good season, isn't it? I mean, he shows all the potential of being a fabulous player. And he's got that Henri look about him, and he scores. He's skillful. He's quick. You know, all the things we've missing last season, really. Wenger spending £125 million on a player that is, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd like to think it's true, but I just think it's a newspaper scam. It's just like numbers, and it's all a load of bollocks. But you never know, do you? You never know.
yeah. Well, to be really honest with you, yeah, obviously, I do think there is some kind of interest, but I don't know whether we actually bidded that big. I don't actually know, but I've heard that Wenger does really like him. And of course, I'll just give you my views on it, regardless of if we were to sign him and my thoughts on it. Now, this is going to be very controversial. I personally wouldn't take him, simply because he's a great player, don't get me wrong, he's definitely got potential, but it's a lot of money and it's a huge risk to waste on an 18-year-old that's only had one good season. Yeah, I would rather actually go for someone like Lacazette or Aubameyang or Belotti or Chicharito, who was supposed to be linked to this. I would rather go for one of those who are proper proven, who have done it more often and have proper experience. Well, with Mbappe, yes, don't get me wrong, I welcome him. He does come, but I'm not so sure. However, Martial at Man United worked out, and Dybala at Juventus worked out. So, what are your views on it, Steve? Do you think Mbappe would be a big risk, or would you think it would be a very good signing if we were somehow to pull this off?
As you said, and as I said, he's only had one season, isn't he? I mean, if you look at Pogba, when he went for that sort of money, he'd had 2 or 3 seasons. He developed into that world-class player, and there was 2 or 3 other big clubs wanting him. You know, does Mbappe need another season and do it again, and then he'll justify the fee? You know, but then obviously the Barcelona's, Real Madrid will be in for him, and then the price will go up.
Real Madrid apparently battling for it as well.
You know, whether he'll be a starter with Real Madrid in terms of first teamer or not. I mean, Wenger's sort of going from the angle that we can put more money up front and we can guarantee, because obviously if we spend that sort of money on Mbappe, he's going to play every game.
Yeah, definitely.
Sitting out, whether he's scoring or not, he's going to be playing every game. So it's a massive, massive risk. But I just think Wenger he signed his new contract. There must be some sort of caveat with his contract that he's got to do something with the squad. And I think he might just be looking to make a statement that he can compete with the big clubs. And maybe so. He is. And if he doesn't get him, because, you know, you don't want to go down the route of we didn't sign anybody, but we were in for him, but we didn't get him. And then come the end of the transfer window, we haven't got anybody. You know, at some point you've got to say, right, we've offered 125 million or whatever it is. It's not enough. Right, let's move on. Who are we going to look at next? Is it going to be Lacazette? You know, is it going to be Aguero? I mean, you could, you know, Aguero is still running. You know, why not spend?
Him, but I don't think
why not spend 90 million on Aguero?
Yeah, I would rather that. But will City?
You know, well, I don't know. I mean, they've got this. Well, you know, if you make a silly offer for a player, the problem is with the Champions League, being not in the Champions League.
Yeah. We've
got to pay a premium to get players now, because the only way you're going to get players that are that good who don't be in the Champions League is you've got to offer them the money to compensate for that. So you're going to have to be prepared. You're going to pay a little bit over the odds to get a player because you're not in the Champions League. I mean, Mbappe, would you just think of the emotions of the fans if we bought a player like that?
Yeah,
you know, all the talk of Wenger going would be forgotten, wouldn't it? You know, it'd be the sign.
He won't be forgotten with me, that's for sure.
Well,
We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah. But I mean, if you buy that sort of player, you've got to be feeling fantastic. And then if you could fill in a few other players, not necessarily squad players, but a couple more players to fill in where you've mentioned players that are going to be going, because you can't leave the squad completely short, can you? I think it'd be fantastic. But is it just press talk? Is there any offer there at all?
Yeah, we'll have to watch his space on that one. So obviously, who else would you like to see, and who do you really think we should buy this summer? Of course, the striker once again is top.
Yeah.
So who else do you think we should actually buy?
I mean, the Lacazette thing seems to be the next most credible option, doesn't it? He's been talked about a few times. I mean, I heard today Lukaku has actually got an agreement with another club today. It's not going to be us, but I mean,
Chelsea.
Yeah, but Batshuayi.
Yeah,
apparently he's going to be released by Chelsea. He's going to be released by Chelsea, especially if Lukaku comes in.
Yeah, he wouldn't be a bad option, of course.
Yeah. So there's a few options out there, but if Wenger goes to to form, he'll pull a player out of the hat we've never heard of.
Yeah.
Because there's this Nigerian kid he's been looking at, isn't it?
He hasn't got a work permit, so I'm like, what are we?
Hasn't got a work permit.
Yeah.
So we're signing him to send him off somewhere for a year. We've still got that Japanese lad, haven't we?
Yeah, Takuma Sano.
Yeah. So again,
I don't want to be seeing any of those type of signings this time. I don't want to be seeing any of that.
No. But Kolasinac, he's a typical, wasn't he? Not really anywhere on anybody's radar, and all of a sudden he's signed for us on a free.
Oh yeah, we got him on the free, so yeah.
Don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I think we're going to be linked with every single player over the next few weeks, aren't we? Every single player that's available and even maybe available, we're going to be linked with.
Yeah. Another player who we've been linked with strongly for the last week is Mahrez. Now, would you take him?
And where would he play? Would he play?
Yeah, that is a concern, because where he'll fit in.
Is he going to play instead of Walcott and Chamberlain on that right hand side? Because that's where he plays for Leicester, isn't it?
Yeah,
sort of right side. I think. He's a good player, no doubt about it. I mean, what would he cost?
Well, he won the year when Leicester won the league. He was the main player of the year, and obviously, of course, this last season he dipped off a little bit, but still great.
The whole team did, though, didn't it? The whole team dipped, didn't it? So,
true.
I think he's a player that could do a job for us. And obviously it's up to him to displace players. I mean, if he's better in that position than Chamberlain and Walcott, then he plays, doesn't
he? Yeah, definitely. Of course, Mahrez, like I said, I'm not so sure. He'll be great if we do get him. Of course, I'll welcome him again. But like I said, I'm not so sure where he will actually fit in. I think if he was to come, we'll have to let one of Theo or Ox go. And I certainly don't want to see Oxo Chamberlain go.
No.
Walcott, I'm not so sure. If you'd asked me last season, I would have said yes, let him go. But now I'm like, maybe should we do it a little bit longer? What do you make of that? Do you think it's time for Walcott to go, or do you think he deserves to stay for a bit longer? What do you make of it?
I don't know. I mean, I think with this new sort of system that Wenger might play, it doesn't give Walcott a position in the side, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Obviously, the way if he goes back to a flat back four, then obviously in certain games he might do that, and of course then that will bring in options for Walcott. But again, we've had this conversation before. He's had 10 years to break into the side as a regular, and he hasn't done it. And he didn't play in the cup final. He didn't play the last 2 or 3 games leading up to the cup final, really. Yeah. Even when was injured, he didn't play. Bellerin obviously played in that position.
Yeah, since we changed that formation, he's been out of favour.
Yeah, so again, if you're going to bring in someone like Mahrez, that really means that someone like Walcott has got to be edged out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Mahrez isn't going to play on his normal position. You don't really want to play him out of position. So, if you're thinking you're going to get more end product out of Mahrez than you do out of Walcott, then but it's obviously Mahrez is used to playing with a really fast centre forward like Vardy, and of course we haven't really got that. But obviously, if we sign Mbappe, then we have got that.
Yeah, we certainly would do, yeah. Okay, so that's that on transfers. Now, before we wrap it up, we are going to talk about Arsène Wenger. Now, for those of you who watch my video and who know me when you watch this channel, you can tell that I was not happy when he did sign that contract, because I really did think that it was time for change. But Steve, what do you think about that? Do you think it was the right decision, and do you think it's time fans need to start to get behind him? Do you think it was the right decision, or do you think change was needed?
I think it was the wrong decision for him to sign a new contract, because I think he should have said to himself, won the FA Cup, this team's not going to win the Champions League, this team's not going to win the league, it's going to take another 3 or 4 years of changing players, and I don't think he's got it in him to do that, and I think he should change. He should have moved on.
Yeah,
personally.
Do you just think it's just Wenger's problem for actually not having the decency to come out and say, I need to go? Or do you also think it's partly a board's problem, that they're not actually putting any pressure for him to actually go? Or do you not all thinking they're putting any pressure on him to actually say, yes, and you've done a good job, but it's time to hand the role over to someone else? Do you think there's not enough Rufus up there on the board? Do you also think it's the board problem as well as his own problem?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Wenger's been at the club 20 odd years. He loves the club. He's built the club in his mind from top to bottom. Everything revolves around him, and it's very good to let that go, isn't it? If you were in another form of life where you, for 20 odd years, and you run it like it's your own baby, and you looked after it and nurtured it, to suddenly just walk away from it, that's a very difficult thing to do.
It's going to have to happen at some point.
It is going to have to happen, but somebody else has to do it for him, don't they? Somebody else has to say, look, Arsène, thanks very much. You've taken us as far as you can go. There's a seat for you on the ball. There's a seat for you upstairs. Come and sit along our side as we'll bring us somebody else in with new ideas. They've got the money to spend 200 million on players. They can start to build a new squad around themselves. New tactics, new ideas, new training methods. All the things that Wenger doesn't really do, I don't think. I mean, defenders don't talk about defending, don't train defending really. It's all about attack. It's all about scoring goals, isn't it? And I think modern managers look at the whole team, defending, attacking. They look at the whole thing, don't they, in training and everything else. And when he first came in, he was cutting edge, wasn't he?
Yeah,
the diet, the training, everything about him was new to players. The Tony Adams and the drinkers, the Paul Mersons back in the day who liked a beer before the game and after the game, and all that got knocked on the head, didn't it? The trouble is now all the teams are the same. All the teams have got continental managers. All the teams have got the same ideas or new ideas, and of course he's got a little bit left behind, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Years to switch to a back three.
Oh yeah, it has taken him that long to switch to back three.
Personally, she should have moved on, personally. But now he's not. We've got to get behind him.
Yeah, we have to. So what do you actually think he needs to do now to actually win the fans back? Do you just think it's just as much as actually spending money, or do you think there's other things that Wenger has to actually do to win the fans back?
I think the fans have got to see him do things with the squad, isn't he? He's got to get that loyalty thing out of his head and start letting players go just because they've been loyal to the club. If you're not good enough, you don't stay. So we've already mentioned the Debussy. Why are players like Debussy and Sonogo still even at the club? They should have been gone. If that had been a Conte or Mourinho or Guardiola, those players would have gone as soon as. I mean, look what he did with Hart, Guardiola. He decided before he even arrived that Hart wasn't going to be his goalkeeper, and he was out the door, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he would have looked at. Another manager would look at our squad and say, right, Debussy, Sonogo, Jenkinson, Campbell, they're not going to be good enough for my side. He would have just done that, wouldn't he? He wouldn't have even thought about that. He wouldn't have been, they've been with the club for 5 years and we better keep them. And that's where you need to be a little bit cutthroat. And
yeah, you need to be more ruthless.
you bring in better players, and they think, well, actually, if I don't perform, I'm not going to be in the side. And that goes for your Sanchez's and your Ozils as well. If you're not performing, you're not going to play.
Yeah, definitely, because I've been saying to fans a lot lately that I want this situation where no player in our team has any divine right to start. I don't want people assuming that their positions are safe, because we've actually seen when there's a little bit of competition within the sport, players actually start to step up. Like you saw what happened with Giroud when Walcott and Welbeck were starting ahead of him. Then Giroud actually started performing, but once he knew his position is safe, he went back to square one. And I also think this is why people like Mesut Ozil are struggling, because I don't think there's enough pressure on him. I think he knows that he's going to be starting so much. Do you think
I think if
Wenger needs to be doing a little bit more of that?
Because I think if Cazorla had been fit all season and Wilshere had been fit all season at the club, then Ozil would have had more pressure to play at the top of his game in that number 10. Wilshere would have played. And you know what you're going to get with Cazorla. He defends, he attacks, he scores, and with that with that Xhaka and Ramsey middle two, and then Cazorla, Wilshere or Ozil in front. It gives you three options, and then you can put pressure on Ozil to perform. And even if that meant pushing Ozil out wide and bringing Sanchez in a bit, it gives you all those options, doesn't it? I think, but you need a manager that can actually come in and make those changes and make those decisions. Get rid of the players that aren't playing well out the side, bring in the players to challenge them. That opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But Wenger's too set in his ways. He just keeps playing the same team week in, week out.
Yeah, I know. He is very loyal to certain players, even the ones that don't perform. He's very loyal to them, and I think it's really time that, because the other managers, like you said, would have kicked the people out of the team who just thought weren't good enough and got his own first. I think he needs a bit more.
Well, yeah, because new managers tend to come in with like a 3-year attitude, don't they? They're at the club for 3 years. They don't perform, they're out after 18 months, 2 years, they're out, aren't they? Whereas Wenger, because of his situation, it doesn't really matter how the team performs. He's still going to have a job at the end of the season, which has proved the case. We've had a rotten season, although we won the FA Cup. Great, fantastic. But in reality, we're 18 points behind Chelsea and we're not in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So we failed, didn't we?
Yeah.
Last season we got to quarter final of the FA Cup, second in the league, qualified for the Champions League. So this year you've got to put down as a failure.
Definitely. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So what do you do with failure? You give somebody a new contract,
exactly.
pay rise, and pay. There you go. Off you go.
I always say, why on earth does he deserve to be rewarded for failure and mediocrity? Just doesn't make sense. Because can you name me any club in world football that does that? Even some lower clubs, if they knew their club was falling and failing, they'll get rid of their manager.
Of course, that's the nature of the beast. The manager, you can't sack the players, so you have to sack the manager. So if you have a poor season, it's very rare for a manager to have a poor season and stay in his job the next season.
Yeah.
Isn't it? If your club is challenging for the top 5 or 6 and you don't achieve that, then that's it, isn't it? You're out the door.
Yeah.
Bring the next one in.
Yeah, definitely.
And they had a bad season next season. Pochettino would be under pressure next season, and then if he didn't perform, who says he's going to stay there next the season after? Probably not.
Yeah, because if you look at teams like Leicester and Chelsea, what they've done, because Chelsea, with their most successful manager, was Mourinho, but the next season, when they weren't performing, Mourinho gone. Same with Leicester. Won them the league, did a miracle with them. Next season gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is, isn't it? With other clubs, not with Arsenal.
Yeah. I do also think this is a board problem. So do you think it's time? Obviously, of course, every fan agrees that Kroenke needs to go as well. Usmanov should be on that board. But do you actually think it is actually going to happen? Do you think Usmanov will come in with an even further bid? Because he's already put 2 bids, which have both been turned down. Do you think he'll come in with a further bid and actually Kroenke might actually?
I think Kroenke wants to sell. He doesn't need the money, so he doesn't need to sell. I mean, Usmanov wants to double his price, then you might think, well, okay, but you know, it's a cash cow, isn't it? The club, it just generates so much cash for him that he doesn't need to sell it. He doesn't need the money, so it's not as if he's struggling. I don't think he's going to sell. I think we've got him for another few years yet. I think Usmanov's going to go off to Everton.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen because he can easily turn Everton into a good club and probably above us. That bit does worry me if Usmanov doesn't come in. We'll go to Everton and however, I'm going to ask you this same question, which I was asked at work last week, and it was actually a fairly good question. If Wenger had gone and the new manager comes in, and within the next 4 seasons, the new manager won the FA Cup 3 times, finished runners-up once out of those 4 seasons, and finished in the top 4 3 times out of those next 4 seasons, would you want him sacked after that? It's a good question, to be honest. But
it is a good question because obviously, you know, if you want to win the big prize, don't you? But ultimately, I would say if we were going in the right direction and we were improving season on season, then you'd probably say on those terms, then we'll give the guy another go. If he's improving the team season on season, you know, at the end of the day, you can lose. What you don't want to do is be 18 points behind the winner. If you end up being 2 or 3 points behind into the last 2 or 3 games of the season, you've still got a mathematical chance of winning the league. If it doesn't quite go your way, then hey, you know, you've given it, you've challenged, you've won a cup, and you've signed a couple of players that season, a couple of players have moved on. You think, right, next season we go again. You always want to be within 2 or 3 points, 4 or 5 points of the actual winners, don't you? Because then that means you're challenging the whole season. You've gone through your February, March, where you have your different form, you know, there's a lot of games, but you're still in, you know, and then going into the last couple of weeks of the season, you've still got a chance to win the league. That's what you want. You want to be challenging right up to the end. And if you're not, if you're 20 points behind, you know, that's a failure. That's a massive failure for a club of our size.
yeah, definitely, absolutely.
I mean, how many points were we behind Leicester?
10.
Yeah, 19? Sorry, 10.
In the end.
10 in the end. Okay, so 10 points, 18 points this time. You know, and we've got more points this season than last season.
Yeah, but you can't look at the points. You have to go by the league position.
No, but yeah, exactly. So we lost 9 games.
Yeah.
9 games. I mean, that's what, 4 maximum, 4 games, and still challenge for the title. So 4 games. We'd have got another. What's that? 5. That's 18 points, isn't it? With Chelsea, no. If we didn't lose those 5 games, we got draws and wins out of those 5 games. We're that much closer, aren't we?
Yeah.
Losing to teams like Watford, that's terrible. That's terrible. Drawing against Bournemouth 3-0 down. I mean, you look at individual games, you just think.
Yeah, that's all cost us. And Crystal Palace and West Brom, it's more those losses that have cost us.
Yeah.
It's the top 4. It's more those losses, more than.
I mean, you can understand. But when you get dominated by teams like Palace, get outplayed by teams like Palace and Watford, seriously wrong.
I know. Yeah, like we've said many times, I've said on this show and many other times, we don't mind losing if the team at least gives it 100% and really literally tries hard. Because at the end of the day, if you do that and lose, what more can you ask for? But it isn't the story of the club, because whenever we've lost lately, we've deserved it. Don't you think?
We go back to the first game of the season when we lost against Liverpool. You know, we were 1-0 up, 3-1 down, end up losing 3-2. 4-1 down, and then
4-3.
End up losing. Yeah, and then Wenger comes out in the press and says, "Oh well, we weren't ready. We weren't prepared." And you think, what the hell? And that really set the mark for the season, didn't it? Really? I know we went on a run of about 15, 20 games of, you know, and we ended up, you know, beating Chelsea, and everybody's thinking, yeah. But reality-wise, we got lucky in quite a few of those games, late goals and late draws. And of course, it bit us in February and March, didn't it?
Well,
we went 9 games, and you know, you just think that was shocking. I think the players just down tools, didn't they? Because the contract, Wenger. was up in the air. You know, they could have said then what they were going to do.
Yeah, because Wenger came out in March, April, said my uncertainty won't affect the players. But then he came out at the end of the season and said it did. And this is
Yeah,
also what gets me about Wenger. He doesn't also speak up the truth, and also he doesn't admit to when he's in the wrong. Well, if you just admit you're in the wrong and just say what he's going to be doing, then I think life would be a lot more easier.
and he's blaming the fans as well for getting on the
I
players'
know.
back and, you know, banners and everything else. Well, you know, fans are going to do that, aren't they? When they don't see the players performing and they don't see the manager doing anything about it, you know, then the fans are going to react, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. At the end of the day, they have a right to react when we pay merchant. We pay a lot to go and see the team play, and when we were made promises about moving to the Emirates in order to compete with Europe's elite, and it's clearly not happening, then fans have the right to protest. And this is also what gets me about this new contract, is that I can only see it coming back in the toxic atmosphere and the in-house fighting and the banners and the protests. As soon as there's one defeat, then it will all start again. And if we lose two in a row, I can just see it all coming back, and that really does also worry me, because also another reason why I wanted Wenger to go was because I didn't want all this to continue and the divide is between the fans as well. I just wanted Arsenal to be, for the fans to unite again, and for Arsenal to be that one big club again, like it used to be. That's what I wanted. Well, so at least if you got a new manager and they started losing, then we'll be like, okay, well the new manager needs time. While with Wenger, you can just pretty much picture what's going to happen, because he's like, I saw this last year and the year before.
Well, you look at Chelsea last season; they didn't, you know, they won the league, and then the next season they had that terrible season. So what do? They changed the manager and this, that, and the other, and look where they are now.
Exactly, because the new manager was like, right, this team won the league the season before, so it can't all be that bad. I need to think about what's wrong.
Yeah, and he tactically did things with the club, and he brought some players in, and he made the changes, and they romped it, really, didn't they?
Yeah.
They romped it.
Plus, they also have a board member that actually cares and says you have to achieve minimum first, or at least challenge for a title or win things, or else you're out of here. Well, we have this board who pretty much accepts anything below first.
Well, they're interested in the monetary side of it. Abramovich is interested in trophies and winning things.
Yeah.
Our board is interested in the bank balance.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know, as long as we get the fourth place for the Champions League,
We didn't even get that this year, and he still.
Well, we did. Well, no, that's right. I think
you can't say that
you get
anymore.
the feeling that. What about? Do you think winning the FA Cup kept him his job?
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure.
You don't think so?
I'm not so sure. I think he would have probably got it with. Apparently, there was rumours that it was done weeks ago, ages ago. They were just waiting for a good time to announce it. And even if we didn't win the FA Cup or didn't finish fourth, because the season was done, they could still announce it because the season's done. They could still announce it, so there'll be nowhere to protest, nowhere to moan to. All it would have done is cause uproar on social media. Then after about a week, it will die down. That's all it would have done.
Yeah. Well, we'll never know, will we? But I mean, it's just a shame when you look at the team, the way they played against Chelsea and the way they played in the last 6 or 7 games. If we'd have played like that all season, who knows?
Yeah, definitely. And also I keep saying I will give credit to the team for doing that, but I just really, really hope that just wasn't the fluke, because most teams that we played towards the end of the season were on the beach. I really hope we keep on from that and build that into the season.
Fingers crossed. We've got what's it, July the 13th for our first tour game, is it?
Yeah.
Something like that. So we've not got that long, have we, before we need to get players in and bedded down.
Yeah. Go get in.
And then sort out, you know, Sanchez and Ozil and see what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. Let's move on to that quickly. Do you actually think they will sign? Do you actually think it is about just paying them what they're worth for? Do you actually, or would you risk if they don't sign them running into the last season with their contracts? upheld so they could go on a 3-minute song. What would you risk that, or would you say, you know what,
I
if they
would
don't sign up, we have to
probably,
sell them?
yeah,
It's a hard one, isn't it?
it is hard. I think from their point of view, they're probably looking at what happens with the manager and what happens with the team. If they see the manager doing things with the team that they feel is going to improve the team, make them a better fighting unit to challenge for the title, that might be enough for them to stay with the wage increase, sign on for another 3 years, and then take it from there. But if they don't see the players coming in and they see the same old, and someone like Bayern Munich or PSG or one of the bigger clubs coming in with a money, then would the club take whatever money there was on the table for Sanchez with only a year left on his contract? If he comes out and says I want to go, then he's got to go, isn't he?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Any player that comes out and says I want to go, you've really got to get rid of him. You only want players at the club that want to be at the club.
Yeah. I don't want people coming to the club, because I'm here just for Arsène Wenger. You play for the badge. You play for the here
Exactly.
to Arsenal. Yeah.
But while there's all the uncertainty, they're not going to sign a new contract, are they?
No.
If they don't know who the manager is, what's happening with the manager, what's happening with, I think and Sanchez has gone off for the South American Cup now, whatever it is, isn't he? So, so it'd be interesting to see him.
And apparently he's refused to go on Arsenal's first pre-season tour. He doesn't want to go on that tour.
Well, he's not going to be ready. He's going to be unfit. If he's playing that for the next couple of weeks, that only leaves him 2.5, 3 weeks before the start of the first game. It's not going to be ready, is it? He is going to need a break, which is what happened last season, wasn't it? He wasn't necessarily ready. Or the Charity Shield, which we'll have this season, obviously.
Yeah, we will. We will.
So I think it'll probably be. He'll still be on the beach when we're playing Chelsea in the Charity Shield.
Because I personally think this summer is far more important. We were fully prepared and fully ready for that first game more than ever. Because don't forget, we're going to have Europa League. So when it gets to September, October, November, December time, we're going to be playing most of our matches on Thursday, Sunday. So it's obviously going to affect league performances. So this time it's fully vital we get off to a good start.
I guess the fans will be going to a lot of countries they've never been to or never even heard of before.
Yeah. That bit I'm not looking forward to. And also, just get your views on that. Do you think, because we're going to be in Europa League next season, do you think we should take that competition seriously, or do you think we should knock it and focus on the Premier League, because you can't literally focus on both? You have to unfortunately focus on.
I think early doors he won't necessarily put a first string team out early doors against some of those teams. A bit like Man United did. I mean, they didn't really take it that seriously, so they got the later stages, did they? And then they focused on that because they weren't winning the league. I think if he wants to win the league, then the Europa League has got to take a back seat to that, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
On the league, because if you're playing on Thursday, Sundays, you'd have a lot of games against big teams on the Sunday when you've just played in Kazakhstan on Thursday night. And the players are getting back late Friday. It doesn't give them a lot of time to get them ready for the Sunday, does it?
Yeah, definitely.
So it'd be interesting to see a new challenge. Interesting to see it'd be a new challenge.
Well, it's not a challenge I'm looking forward to. I'd much rather be, just like I'm sure we all would much rather be in the Champions League, but unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Didn't do Chelsea any harm, did it? Didn't do Chelsea any harm missing out.
Yeah. No, it didn't. But the thing is with them, they didn't have any European football, so that helped them massively. But this time, we will actually have Europa. You see how that's hampered teams like Man United, Liverpool, and Spurs over the years. They've not been able to get what they want in the Premier League because of that.
Well, Man United won 3 cups last season, didn't they?
Two really.
Charity Shield, they won the Charity.
That doesn't really count. You can't and I'll say that even if we
counted it.
I didn't. I just said, okay, it's a good pre-season, and let's bring it on to the Premier League. I did seriously say that.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. All right, then we'll wrap the show up there. Thank you very much, Steve, for joining me again.
Thank you very much for having me.
No worries, and hopefully this is a a good summer, and we do get the players we do need, and we do keep hold of those and Sanchez. Let's really hope. And of course, viewers, leave your comments below on your transfer targets. Who do you think should come in? Who do you think should go out? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. And I'll be speaking to you very soon. And keep supporting the boys. Come on, you Reds.